Well, it's good to see you all. Thank you so much for joining on your Sunday. I know there's a lot of fun things you can do on your weekend besides spending it with me, so I appreciate that. So today we are going to be talking about the Rental Property Bootcamp. This is my live 12-week program. I'm going to take you through an overview of what this program is, why I put it together, tell you a little bit about it, and then open it up for Q&A. So if you are interested in enrolling in this program, this is kind of your chance to talk to me about it. If you're on the fence about it, if you don't know whether you should join, you can ask me about it, ask me what I think. I'm not like a pushy salesperson. So yes, I would love, obviously, for you to join the program, but I'm not into like sleazy sales tactics. I'm not going to say this is your last and only chance ever to sign up for this program. So, I only want you to sign up if you feel good about it at the end of the day. So I'll do my best to help you make that decision. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen and take you through some of the details. And as I'm talking to, if you have a question on anything I'm talking about, feel free to put something in the chat. Okay, here we go. Okay, can you all see that? Okay, awesome. Yes. Thank you. Okay, this is the Find and Analyze Rental Property Bootcamp. Now, I put this together last year, and what I did last spring is I sent out a poll to my email list because everyone had been asking me, are you going to put together a program to teach about real estate investing? And people have been asking me about this forever. So I sent out a poll and I was like, what do you find hardest? What's your biggest struggle? What's your biggest challenge when it comes to investing in real estate? People sent me back two very clear things. And it was that their biggest challenge was finding good deals and knowing how to analyze those deals. So I don't know if any of you can relate to having those challenges. The market has only gotten more difficult since last year, in my opinion. So finding good deals, especially if you live in California, a place like California or another expensive city, can be very difficult. With my background, I have a really extensive background in investing in real estate. So for those of you who are not as familiar with my story, I started investing in 2017. I'm not a trust fund baby, and I never made six figures from a job or a career. I started investing in 2017 with my husband with only $10,000 in my own personal savings. We bought a duplex that year. And then within 2.5 years, we scaled from 0 to 38 units, 38 doors within under 3 years. So we did this very, very quickly. I was able to quit my job in 2019 and retire, which I put in quotes because I use the words retire and financially independent interchangeably. I'm obviously still working because it's what I love to do. I just work because I want to, not because I have to now. By 2019, we were earning $10,000 a month in profit solely from our rental properties by 2019. So I was able to quit and we were financially independent, and we have been ever since. So I have a really extensive background in investing in single family properties, multifamily properties, scaling a portfolio quickly, and finding off-market deals. Because before this, I partnered with a real estate investor in Louisville, Kentucky, and that's where all my rental properties are. And he was somebody who flipped properties. And part of my job with him and what I helped him do was find off-market deals instead of finding deals on the MLS. I get a lot of pushback right now these days because I'm like, use the 1% rule, find properties that cash flow, find properties that do this. And people are like, Rachel, that's impossible. I can't do that in this market. I can't do that in California. And I'm like, look, if you're looking on the MLS, you're right. You're not going to be able to do that. You have to do these creative strategies that I teach. And I try to teach them about them on my Instagram and stuff, but I can't go into depth on a social media post. So there are 9 creative strategies, all of which I have personally done to find rental properties. And that is what I teach in depth in this bootcamp. Like, I go really deep on this. I am always shocked when I see other real estate courses that are 8 weeks long and they cover finding a property, analyzing a property, closing on a property, renovating, finding a tenant, finding a property manager, managing your tenants. So they cover everything from start to finish within 8 weeks, because I'm like, how is that possibly enough time to really go deep enough for people to understand? And not to hate on other real estate programs. They're all great. People are really good at teaching what they know. I just wanted to go really deep on the two topics that matter the most so that investors could walk away and really confidently know what they were doing and know how to find really good deals and how to analyze them. So I just wanted to give you some context on how this came about, why I specifically put this program together, and what it is designed for. So finding and analyzing property. It doesn't really do a deep dive on creative financing strategies. So let me actually scroll down to the curriculum, and I'll scroll back up and back down. Here's the curriculum. Week 1, intro and setting parameters. We're going to talk about what to look for in a property, building your team. Then we have 3 solid weeks on the 9 strategies of how to find off-market deals. Okay, 3 solid weeks. So we spend hours on this. Then we have 2 solid weeks on how to analyze deals. In these 2 weeks, we use a cash flow analyzer. It's an Excel spreadsheet that I've spent years putting together. It gets more robust every year. And I teach you how to put the numbers in, how to estimate the numbers, and it spits out the metrics for you that will tell you whether it's a good deal or not, whether it's a profitable deal or not. So it's a really good tool. I literally use this to make my own decisions. And then I do touch on investing with less than 20% down. It's more of a high level because we're spending 1 week on it. We're not going to go a deep dive into this, but I do touch on that because that was the 3rd topic that people said that they had trouble with, was how coming up with the money to start investing. So besides that, we're not going to talk about, finding and screening tenants, finding property management, renovating, anything like that. However, as you can see, there are 3 weeks where we have office hours. I built in office hours as just a call where we have Q&A between you all and me. And that way, if you have other questions, they can be related to these topics, they can be outside these topics, but that way you can get those questions answered. So if you do want to ask me, how do you screen tenants? How do you find a good property manager? Should I move my properties into an LLC? Should I do this? Should I do that? That's your chance to kind of get those other questions answered as well. All right, so that's the curriculum. That's kind of the purpose. Let me scroll back up. Okay, so and again, what will this bootcamp do for you? Here's what I wanted you to get out of this. I wanted this to take the guesswork out. I didn't want you to walk away from this having questions left unanswered. That's why I designed it to be 12 weeks where we get to deep dive into a few really crucial topics. I wanted to build your confidence so that you really feel like you know what you're doing, especially with the analysis part. That way, when you get out there and you start looking at deals, you feel like you can quickly and confidently analyze properties and move forward with making an offer. I want to show you ways to get started investing, even if you don't have 10K saved. Teach you how to invest out of state. So I don't live in Louisville, Kentucky anymore, even though I happen to be here right now. I now live in Colorado. And I have found that being that far away makes it way easier to manage my properties. Because when I lived here, I was very tempted to go down to my properties once or twice a week and check on things, even when we did have a property manager. And when you live far away, you're forced to have good systems and you're forced to have teams in place. So I found it to be easier. And there are so many people I personally know that have invested out of state without ever even seeing the property in person. So I'm going to teach you a lot about investing out of state. And I want to take away your fears and show you how to find the best off-market deals. So those are all the things. Again, here's who I am. Other ways that I am credible and trustworthy and certified. I'm a former financial advisor. So I used to be Series 7 and 66 certified, best-selling author. I don't still have 38 units because we did sell some of our rentals this year, but by the age of 26, I had a portfolio with almost 40 doors. I'm an entrepreneur. Okay, and here's what's included in the bootcamp. Here are all the things you get when you sign up for the bootcamp. So again, it's taught live over the course of 3 months. So once per week, we meet as a group and we have a Zoom call as a group. And Dana asked a question, do we talk about identifying an out-of-state market? Yes. So in week 1, we will talk about here's what you look for and how to narrow down cities and states. So which cities and states should I invest in? We will talk about that. Good question. Okay, you get 1 live group Zoom call with me. They're normally 60 minutes. Sometimes they do run over. I do like to make sure I'm getting everyone's questions answered. So for example, if we're in an office hour session and it's been 60 minutes, but I can tell people still have questions, I'm just going to keep going until everyone's questions are answered. That's just how I roll. But in general, they are designed to be 60-minute calls once a week. We are going to focus throughout the bootcamp on my duplex here in Louisville, and we're going to use that as a case study. I'm going to show you how I find that, how I found that, how I analyze that. That will be helpful for you to see a real life example. The office hours is where you can ask me questions directly and get direct support, check-ins for accountability. You'll also get a free digital download of my second book, Passive Income, Aggressive Retirement, and you will get access to a lot of my own personal documents and templates that I will share, including my cash flow analyzer. One thing on this list, or that's not on this list that I'm adding this time, is a group network or a group community. I haven't figured out whether I'm going to create a group for everybody on Facebook or on Slack, but you will be able to connect with all the other students in the bootcamp so that you can stay in touch with them, support them throughout, network with them after, and I will add all of the students from the previous bootcamp to it as well, so that over time you can have this really great support system of everyone who's gone through the bootcamp and everyone who has the knowledge and people that you can connect with in other states and get help from. So I think that's going to add a lot of value as well. Weekly calls are on Wednesdays at 12 Eastern, and bootcamp starts this Wednesday and enrollment closes tomorrow. So if you work during the week, have kids, go to school, and you can't make it on the live calls, don't worry. I will be recording all of the calls, sending them out right afterwards. Normally I send them out by the day after the call. And that way you can watch the recorded calls. You also have lifetime access. So you can go back and watch the calls as often as you want for the rest of your life. Also, if you know, you already have the curriculum and the agenda. So if you know that you have a question on building your team and you're not going to make the live call, you can submit the question to me ahead of time. And that way I can make sure I address your question on the live call. Same with office hours. If you know you can't make the office hours live session, but you have all these questions you want to ask me, you can send them to me ahead of time and I'll address them on the live call. So that way you still can participate and get your questions answered, even if you can't attend the live calls. So I've just tried to make it as friendly and as possible for everyone, even if you can't make it every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Eastern. Okay. Who is this bootcamp for? Beginner US investors. And even if you're an intermediate investor, I've had students before who had 1 or 2 or 3 rental properties that took my bootcamp because they didn't know how to find off-market deals. And they still didn't feel thoroughly comfortable analyzing deals. And they learned a ton from the bootcamp. But it is designed for beginners. You don't have to have any knowledge or experience. You can be completely new to real estate investing. And you need to be interested in buying and holding residential real estate. So you want to invest in rental properties, not flipping properties. If you're stuck on finding good deals or knowing how to analyze good deals, this is for you. And if you're motivated and eager to take action and you need guidance and support in getting started, this is for you. Who is this not for? This is not for someone who owns a bunch of rentals already and primarily needs help finding and screening tenants or managing their rentals, because that's not the focus of this bootcamp. The focus is on finding and analyzing real estate. That's the 2 biggest struggles that people have told me they have. We're going to deep dive into those, leave no question unanswered. Also, this is not for people who want a shortcut or magic bullet, okay? Because there are no shortcuts. Those don't exist. I will give you all of the knowledge I have on these topics, but it's still up to you to implement this knowledge and to go out and do the hard work, because this is not easy. All right. None of these things are easy. It does require you to get off the couch and to go do these things and to get out there and have boots on the ground and network. And, there's a lot that goes into this and defining off market deals. It's not easy. The reason it works and that you can find really good deals is because you are going to have to be willing to do the things that other people are not willing to do. So just know that you have to do the hard work. This is also not for people who want to flip houses or invest in things like office complexes or really big apartment complexes. We will talk about both single family and multifamily, up to about 12 units or so, because that's what I've personally owned and invested in. Beyond that, I don't have experience. And so I'm never going to teach something that I don't have experience in because I don't feel that that is right or that I'm qualified. So that's what we'll focus on: single family and multifamily that's 12 units or under. Okay. There's some FAQs here, but I'm about to do Q&A with you. The price is $15.99 if you pay up front, excuse me, or if you want to do the payment plan. I always offer a payment plan. It's $5.99 a month for 3 months. If you do the math, it is save you money to do the one upfront payment of $15.99. And again, that's lifetime access. Here are some of the comments from some of the live calls last time. It's a lot of fun. People had really great things to say from my last round. They were very happy, had a lot of great testimonials. I do have testimonials down here, and I have a video testimonial that I'll share on my Instagram story again tomorrow, but you can go to this page. Let me go ahead and share this in the chat so you can pull this up too. Should have done that already. You can go to this page and read what people have said. Okay, so last point I want to make before I open it up for Q&A is kind of regarding the ROI, right? So it's the course costs $15.99. And when you think about what this could do for you, even if you just find and invest in one rental property because of this boot camp, and you get a 12% ROI, which is what I aim for and what I show you how to do with the cash flow analyzer. If you invest $15K, then that's going to give you a profit of $1,800 per year based on a 12% ROI. Okay, $1,800 per year. So you're already earning back what you invested in the boot camp just within a year. Over 20 years though, that's 36 grand that you didn't have before. So with that math, over 20 years, the ROI is ridiculous. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. That's just based on one property. Imagine if you can take this and you invest in 1 and then 2 and then 3 properties. There's a lot of long-term value that can come out of this, but it is up to you taking action and really implementing what you learn. So the course can pay for itself as long as you do the work. And so that's what I want to emphasize. Okay, that is kind of the basics. I think I've covered the basics of the program. So I will open it up for Q&A. What do you have questions about? And feel free to, if you want to talk about your personal scenario, whether you think you should join or just questions on the logistics, you can take yourself off mute. You can put a question in the chat, but for the rest of the time, we will just focus on Q&A. So what do you all have for me? I can go through some of the FAQs on the website until I get a question from you all. So let me do that. And once you think of a question, just put it in the chat or shout it out at me. Okay, so this one says, I want to invest out of state. Should I enroll? Yes. Again, the bootcamp is designed for both local and out of state investors. The only assumption is that you don't even have to live in the US. It's just best if you are a US resident and you want to invest in the US. So in my last cohort, I had a US resident who was living in Scotland at the time and wanted to invest in the US. And she took my course and she's doing amazing now. And she made a lot of progress on the course. So People outside the US can enroll, but everything is going to be based on US specific. So I don't think they're going to get as much out of it as somebody in the US.
Hello, Rachel. This is Rohan.
Hi.
Hey, actually, that's one of the questions I have. I'm based in Salt Lake City,
Oh, awesome.
and it's yeah. Every time I look at any property here, it's just and definitely I'm interested in buy and rental property, but the numbers just doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Properties are so high, so I'm thinking my only option, if I'm trying to do what I want to do, is to go out of state. But that's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
Is buying something out of state. Yeah, and I know with all the stuff, I try to do my research on my own with, like reading stuff, going on Bigger Pockets, see what people are saying. It's still scary. That's why I'm kind of, yeah, sitting on the fence now, just trying to get as much information. But yeah, I mean, it's, basically that's my only option I see that I can do is to invest in out of state because there's
Yeah.
no way I can do that in Salt Lake.
Yeah. And it's a valid fear. It definitely feels very scary and it holds a lot of people back. And so one of the things I'll do in the boot camp is show examples of people I personally know who have invested out of state. Salt Lake City is definitely another expensive city. It doesn't mean you have to invest out of state, but maybe in a different city in Utah. So I will definitely help you narrow down what cities and states could be good markets for you to invest in and to consider based on several criteria that I'll cover in the boot camp. And I will show you how it can be done and, give you tips for here's how to build your team out of state. Here's how to find a property out of state. Here's how you can see the property out of state without having to go see it in person. Here's how, and if you want to talk to me about managing tenants, finding a property manager, those are questions you can ask during office hours. But that's definitely one of the topics that I'm going to spend a lot of time on. So I hope that helps.
Yep. Thanks.
Awesome. No problem. Sonia, I think that's, if I pronounced your name wrong, let me know. Does the class focus on lending from banks versus credit unions, et cetera? The class doesn't really get into financing as much. We have 1 week that is investing with less than 20% down. We can certainly talk about that during office hours. And I do have, good suggestions on lending and things that I know from personal experience, but it's not really part of the deep dive in the main curriculum. So I hope that helps. And Ray said for the week set up office hours, what are the days and times? It's the same days and times. So these are all still on Wednesdays at 12 o'clock Eastern. So these are the 12 weeks worth of the curriculum, all on Wednesdays at 12 o'clock Eastern. Have you ever purchased a property without seeing it in person? I personally have not. I know people who have, and I would feel comfortable doing it, knowing what they know. And if I wasn't able to see it in person, there's ways and things that you can do to make yourself feel comfortable. But yeah, I have personally not yet. Kelsey said, do you teach how to scale from your first unit to multiple units? Not in this boot camp. It's not in the curriculum, but again, that's something I can talk about during office hours. So last time we did actually get into that topic a lot during office hours because a lot of people had interest in that. So we kind of did end up having a little bit of a deep dive on scaling from one unit to many units and how I did that and some of my tips. Do you talk about real estate syndications versus buy and holds? I'm in the Bay Area, find it cost prohibitive here and worry I don't have time to travel out of state. I do not talk about real estate syndications in the curriculum, but again, in the office hours, we can definitely get into that. There's a lot that goes into real estate syndications though. So that's actually something I tend to teach more in like a one-on-one coaching setting. But even if you do buy and hold rentals, you don't have to travel out of state. Like you don't have to have the expectation that you are going to have to travel out of state a ton. A lot of the people I know that have done this have never seen their property in person. And I'm here in Kentucky right now, and I've been to Kentucky several times since we moved away, but this is actually the first time I even made an effort to see my properties in person that are still here. So even though I've been here in the last 2 years, I haven't seen them because I haven't felt the need to. I have other people do that for me. I just was like, well, I might as well see it in person because I've been here for 3 weeks. So I had the extra time. But yeah, you don't necessarily have to travel to own out of state rental properties. So I hope that helps. That's a great question. Okay, and if you can't attend the live Zoom calls again, I will send out all of the recordings afterwards so you won't miss a thing. And feel free to keep asking me questions, you all, on the chat. Unmute yourself. You have lifetime access to all of the recorded Zoom calls and documents. How much time do you need to dedicate to this bootcamp? It is okay if you don't have a lot of time to dedicate. The group pacing, being on the live call once a week is an option, not a requirement, although I do strongly recommend that you stick to the group pacing. You will have lifetime access. You can revisit them anytime you want. So, you do need to plan the 1 hour per week to be on the call or to watch the recorded call. Outside of that, I recommend you set aside at least 3 hours a week to implement the action items. Because every week there are action items that I recommend you do to take action based on what I just taught about. And that's an option, again, not a requirement, but really to get the most out of the bootcamp, you want to watch the call and then set aside another 3 hours a week to implement what I'm teaching. Dana, can we join mid-call? I have an 8 a.m. meeting every Wednesday. Yes, that is totally fine. You can join mid-call and then you can watch the recording to watch the beginning that you missed. I like to buy a rental property in the next 2 to 3 years, but I don't have a down payment saved yet. Will this bootcamp help me? Or maybe you feel like you don't have enough money saved yet, quite enough yet to invest in rental property. Will this help you? I do absolutely think that it will help you, even if you feel like you don't have enough money yet to get started. Because again, in week 11, I do touch on creative strategies to get started with less than a 20% down payment. But even if you don't have enough money yet, it's still an excellent time to learn how to find and analyze deals, because it takes time to go out and find a good deal and make an offer and negotiate and then close on the deal. The whole process takes time. It could take 4 months or 6 months or 8 months. So by the time you do all of that, you're going to have more money saved anyways. And it's great to go ahead and learn, practice the cash flow analyzer, really get confident in what you're doing. And that way, by the time you do have the money, you'll be ready to hit the ground running. What other questions? Are you working on any deals right now? Will you talk about current market real estate conditions given the overheated market right now? Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you asked about this because I meant to talk about this from the very beginning. So thank you. Yeah, a lot of people are like, is this even a good market to invest in? And I did address this on my email today a little bit, but I think it's still a great market to invest in. I don't think that okay, so take this with a grain of salt because I'm not an economist, okay? But I don't think that what's happening right now with the market is a bubble, because bubbles are based on nothing. They're based on greed and fear and nothing real, right? What's happening with the real estate market right now is a supply and demand issue. There were not enough houses being built in the last decade. And if you look, I had sent out an email. I don't know if any of you had seen that email or if that's how you saw the Zoom call today. But if you look at the articles on how many houses were built by decade over the last few decades, for some reason, I don't know why, there were hardly any houses being built in the last 10 years and in the last few years. And the population hasn't gone down, it's grown. So there's a supply and demand issue. People need a house. There's not enough houses for people to live in. In my opinion, for that kind of problem to be corrected could take years. Now, yeah, there might be market corrections, and the real estate market is very cyclical, so it does go up and down over time. But there's a supply and demand issue right now that I think is going to take a long time to fully correct. So in my opinion, that's what's happening. Now, here's another reason I think it's still a good time to invest in real estate. Inflation is high. And when inflation is high, putting your money in real assets like land and rental property is one of the best things you can do. Like, I want to put more in real estate, even though I'm already so heavily invested in real estate, because I feel like I have too much cash right now. And so I want to get that cash invested, whether it's in the stock market, real estate, but real estate is one of the best places to have your money when it's inflationary. And then 3, if you invest based on the way I teach you, it is not going to matter whether the real estate market goes down. I teach real estate investors to invest in cash flowing properties. The mistake people are making right now is that they are investing for appreciation. And it scares me a lot for a lot of people because a lot of people are setting themselves up to lose money. Something to remember is that you make money when you buy, not when you sell. You make money when you buy, not when you sell. Okay. When investors are looking at properties right now that are not cash flowing, so they're breaking even, they're not making money, but they're saying, oh, well, surely it'll appreciate. With the way houses are appreciating, I'll just make money on the appreciation. No, I won't let any of you do that. That's not a wise idea because you can't control the market and you don't invest in assets that you can't control. If the market goes down, they're screwed. They're going to lose a lot of money and be underwater on their mortgage. However, if you invest in a cash flowing property, like the way that I teach, and the market goes down, it's not going to matter because it's going to cash flow no matter what. It's going to cash flow no matter what the value of the house is. That's not going to change. Okay, so those are the 3 reasons that I still think it's a great market to invest in. And there's another quote I'll share. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about this. There's another quote I'll share, and it goes, how does it go? Oh, don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. And that's a really good one. So I'll say that one more time. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. And one more thought on that note. I am currently looking to invest in the Denver market. So I am not letting the housing prices scare me. I'm not letting the current real estate market scare me. This is probably information I'll only share with my mastermind students and the students in my boot camp, like exactly what I'm doing, how I'm going about it. But I'm planning on potentially buying a primary residence, but I'm pretty sure my husband and I are moving forward on an actual investment property in Denver, Colorado, like in Q1. We're getting really serious about something right now. So you will be right there with me as we look for properties together. And I will share about that in my bootcamp as well. That is my long-winded response to your awesome question. So thank you for asking. Okay. Ray says, were you able to acquire so many doors in a short amount of time due to BRRRR, silent partners, or a mix of both? I did it by coming up with 20% down payments. And I can go into a lot more detail on that in one of the office hour sessions for sure. BRRRR is something I'll touch on in week 11. Also silent partners, owner financing. These are some of the strategies I'll talk about in week 11 for how to scale quickly, how to come up with money, capital quickly so that you can invest. And thoughts on short-term rental. Short-term rental is something that I will also talk about on the bootcamp. So I'll show you how to use the cash flow analyzer to analyze both long-term and short-term rental. I think short-term rental is something that can make a property more lucrative than it could otherwise be. It's a time versus money trade-off. So you can maybe make more money on a property, but you'll probably have to spend more time and effort on the property. But that is something that we do talk about, how to analyze that. What makes for a good short-term rental. We will touch on that in the bootcamp as well. So here, will this bootcamp help me learn about short-term rentals and Airbnb? Yes, while the focus is on long-term rentals, you will also learn how to analyze short-term rentals. And this is an important question. Do you guarantee results? I kind of already touched on this. No. While I guarantee I will give you all of the tools and resources you need to find and analyze rental property, I cannot control the effort you put in and whether you take action or not. Okay. So that's why I can't guarantee results. Every one of your success depends on many factors, including your background, your dedication, your desire, and your motivation. Okay. So that's why I can't guarantee results. And if you want to see all the terms and conditions and that whole thing, you can go to the link and see all of that. I'll copy and paste the link again so it's fresh. Will you give an opinion, advice to any current real estate deals we're working on? No, because that's really something that would entail one-on-one coaching. So it would be too difficult for me to do that in an office hour session. Office hours, you do have to be, respectful of the time of the other students. So it's not like I can get into a long-winded, 15 or 20 minute response to a question. I did have a bootcamp student that did sign up for a one-on-one coaching call after the bootcamp so that I could go through a full one-on-one deal analysis with her. And so that's an option, is just to pay for a coaching camp or for a coaching call after the boot camp. Linda, can I read your question? It was just sent to me directly, so let me know on message if you want. What else? I hope this is helping. Is this helping you all get a feel for the boot camp and what's to come?
Yes, Rachel, it's Linda.
Okay.
You can read the message. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure because it was sent privately. Okay, Linda says, hi, Rachel. I'm an American citizen living in Canada, and I have rental property in Chicago where I used to live. I want to know how I can invest in the Midwest aside from Chicago from Canada if possible. So Linda, this is a great question. And this is almost exactly what I helped my student in Scotland do in my last class. So it definitely is possible. And it is one of the things that I will be talking about in the boot camp. My student in Scotland was looking to invest in Arizona. So I helped her a lot with that. And I think you have an easier time because you're right next to the US and not overseas. So I think it'll be even easier for you. I think, and you're even in the same time zone potentially. She was like having to do odd hours and everything. So yeah, that definitely will be covered in the boot camp.
Thank you.
Yes. Erin Lee says, what is your plan on doing another boot camp? I normally do this twice a year, January and June. So I'm planning on doing this twice, just twice this year. So the January round I'm excited to do a January round. Everyone's always motivated because, it's the start of a new year. If your goal is to invest in a rental property by the end of the year, it's a great idea to do this course now in January. My first real estate rental property took me 9 months to find, and it shouldn't take you that long using the tools that I teach you in this course. It took me 9 months because I was looking on the MLS and doing the things that I didn't know better and kind of going about it the wrong ways. So my goal is to help you do that faster. But if you start in January and you hit the ground running and you want to get your first and second real estate property this year, I think that's a reasonable goal if you do the January round. The June round, I'm not sure if you would be able to. It depends on how hard you're willing to work. I'm happy to have you in either round.
I've been at it. I've been looking for a good deal for a good 9 months now. So
I feel your pain. So let's get you finding that property. Dana, so when you sign up for the boot camp, you get access to the one live round. So you would not be able to continue enrolling and having access to the live rounds that follow. You just have access to your live round and then your recorded calls. However, you will have access to the group that I'm going to create, either the Facebook or the Slack group. So you will always have access to that so you can network with past students, current students, future students. Great question. What else? Oh, let me ask you all, who's wanting to get their first rental property this year, just so I can get a feel for those of you in the class, and you can put that in the chat too. I want to understand who already has a rental property versus who wants to get their first rental property. Okay, so Graciela, let me know if I said that correctly or incorrectly. Craig, Ray wants to get their first. Dana wants to get their first. Kelsey, Joel. Okay, cool. So a lot of first-time real estate investors. That's an exciting goal for 2022. Anyone who already has a rental property on the call? You can put it in the chat too. Maybe not. Oh, Linda does. Okay. Oh, and Sonia does. Okay. Erin Lee has a condo that I'll rent out. Looking for my son. Rohan is fixing basement to rent. Dinya, let me know if I said that wrong. Okay, cool. So there's a mix, and there was a mix in my boot camp. A lot of people were looking to get their first rental, and I had some students that already had a rental. So that sounds about right. And Erin Lee Airbnb is the extra room. That's smart. Very cool. Yeah, I want to make some real estate goals and dreams come true this year. What else? What other questions?
Hi, this is Janae here. I have a question. I might be inheriting actually a property. This is my first, I'm a novice, but this
Mhm.
year, and then I would have a little cash left over. So I'm interested in real estate investing and finding another deal to try and reinvest anything that I get and in the best way
Nice.
possible. But it would be out of state. I'm in Chicago and it's in Washington state. It's a small house and a rental. And then
Mhm.
some people say like you should have a base more or less. But I noticed that, you know, from reading your articles and Instagram, you have properties in multiple states and things like that. So when you're starting out, do you think it's important to have a base, like being like if I were to invest in another property in Washington as well, look for a similar area, or this course will cover how to manage different areas and different places and
Yeah,
finding those deals?
that's a great question. Thank you, Janae. So all of my properties are in Kentucky. So all of mine are in the same state. I think there are benefits to having them all in the same state. And I will talk about that in the course. So I do recommend having them all in the same state, but that doesn't mean you can't have them. Like there are benefits and pros and cons, and I will talk about that in the course for sure. So yeah,
Okay.
you can do it either way. It just depends.
And you were in Kentucky when you started, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then building your team, that's kind of covered too, or
Mhm.
tips on, you know, lender or different
Yep.
people to work with, building
Yeah.
that up.
Yeah, building your team. Oh, I think somebody
It's-
did ask about that and about lenders and credit unions. I do talk about that in the curriculum. So building your team is in week 2. We talk about realtor, lender, insurance agent, home inspector, and contractor, and what to look for specifically, like questions to ask these people, what to look for. Again, I'm really trying to go into detail on these topics for you all so that you have a lot of specific knowledge so you can just move forward and you're not left wondering, okay, well, how, like, what do I actually do? I want to really teach you those things.
And do you usually recommend a property manager, or this is sort of aimed at us managing it still, but having this team on our side?
I do recommend a property manager. Yes. Yeah. And I'll talk about that. I don't talk about property management because that's really after you close on the property where you would find the property manager, although it's something you can start looking for right away as well. I was kind of focused on building your team. Like, what do you need right now? What do you need in order to make an offer on a property? So the boot camp is focused on getting you to the point where you can make an offer on a property. You know, finding the property, being able to analyze the deal and knowing whether you should make an offer. But yeah, I mean, I do recommend overall, if you're investing out of state, to have a property manager. It makes it a lot easier.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for joining and asking the question. Thank you all for joining. This is, I hope this is helpful. I hope this is helping you make a decision. I'm going to keep answering questions. Riche says, how many properties or units can you have until you need to get an LLC? You don't ever need to get an LLC, but, and this is a question, if I mispronounced your name, please correct me. But
No, you did good. Just
Okay.
fine.
Okay, good. This is always a popular question that comes up in office hours. So I typically expect that I am going to talk about the whole LLC thing, whether to get one. And just know, you all, that I'm not a CPA, a tax person, a CPA is a tax person, an insurance agent, or an attorney. And I always state that on the calls and everything. So I say, you know, here's what I do, here's my opinion, but ultimately you need to consult these people. And an LLC kind of falls into that, but I will tell you what I do, my opinion on it, how other investors have done that. But you technically don't need to have any LLC if you don't want one. Joel says, which book do you discuss the BRRRR strategy? I might discuss it in my second book, Passive Income, Aggressive Retirement. But if I do, it's really maybe just a paragraph or something. It's not anything deep. So I hope that helps. There's a book by a Bigger Pockets book, though, that's literally just on the BRRRR strategy. I think it's by David Green. So I'd recommend reading that if you're interested in that instead of mine. What else? What other questions? I hope to see you all in the class. It's going to be a good time. And enrollment closes tomorrow. So you have some time to decide. Erin Lee, what's up?
At what time enrollment closes tomorrow?
Midnight.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. What other questions?
What about mentorship? I think that's a good idea to get. Obviously, you got to figure out who to get it from too.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to find somebody who is knowledgeable enough, who also has the time, who can mentor you. It really needs to be like a value add relationship. I've never found like a free mentor who was worth learning from, because people giving free advice, I don't know. There's like a correlation between the quality of advice you're getting and how much you pay for that advice, I guess, in my experience. So, but if you can find somebody who's qualified and who's willing to take you under their wing for free, I think that's amazing. And, you know, another investor in your city, a flipper, even if it's a flipper, you can learn a lot from a flipper about finding deals and what they look for. So
Now, I was thinking about actually, I know it's probably hard to find someone to
I think that my internet just went out. Are you all still there? Can you all hear me? Okay, can you all hear me? I just got kicked out of my own Zoom call,
Yes.
I think. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I think I literally got kicked out of my own Zoom call. Rohan, what were you asking me? Because it got cut off for me.
just the mentorship. I know, like I said, that's probably paid mentorship to find those people.
Yeah, I mean,
Market.
like I personally offer one-on-one coaching, and
Okay.
it's paid one-on-one coaching. And so most other people I know that teach about real estate investing would offer something similar.
Okay.
Yeah. What else? Oh, Sonia had asked, do you talk about favorite real estate books that have helped you? Yes. Yes. And I'll share them now. I'm happy to. Hold by Steve Chater is one of my favorites. Anything by Bigger Pockets is really good. And what else? I feel like there's one I'm forgetting. But Hold is definitely a really good one. And Bigger Pockets. Yeah. What other questions? Is there anything I can help you decide on when it comes to whether to join or not, or whether you feel like this will be helpful to you right now? Janae said, can you only do one-on-one coaching if enrolled in a course? No, anyone can do one-on-one coaching. It's just not something I like widely advertise. But if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, you can email my assistant at hello@moneyhoneyrachel.com to inquire more. So my coaching is $1,500 a month, and that includes 2 monthly coaching calls that are 60 minutes each. So Bootcamp, you kind of get more for the value, but you know, it's in a group setting. If you do want the one-on-one personalized coaching calls, that's what my coaching rate is $1,500 a month. What else? Is this helpful? Is this answering a lot of your questions? Okay, good. All right, final call for questions. It seems like we're petering out a little bit. So final call. We still have 5 more minutes. I'm happy to stay on, but have you ever done any boot camps or are you self-taught? So besides kind of partnering with this flipper in Kentucky for about 9 months, I learned a lot with him, read a lot of books. I do have my real estate license, but I never had a program or anything, partially because I didn't know that they existed. You know, I was in high school and in college and trying to learn a lot of this on my own, and I just didn't know and wouldn't have known how to network or how to find anybody. And so, I mean, I feel like that's kind of the main reason that I had never taken anything. And at this point, I feel like just super knowledgeable from my own experience. But if there was ever a different area that I wanted to get into, like note investing or developing raw land or something, I would certainly take a course because I have no idea how to do those things. Great question. Anything else? Going once? Going twice?
Yeah, I guess
Yes.
you retired at 27 through passive income. Was that
Mhm.
predominantly real estate income?
Yes, Janae, it was at the time. So this was in 2019. I'm 29 now. At the time, it was predominantly from real estate. Now it's flipped a little bit. It's about half and half because we did for 2 reasons. We sold some of our units this year, although we do intend to continue to invest. And now we're just doing something different. We're investing in more syndications as well now, but also because my passive income from my books has grown so much. So at the time in 2019, our passive income from rental properties was $10,000 a month in profit. And now it's maybe 6,000 a month in profit. And it's continuing to increase as we invest in syndications more and more, because we're transitioning the profit from the rental properties we sold into syndications. And we intend to invest in Denver as well.
What are syndications? Just a basic definition.
Yeah, for sure. So syndication is like when somebody wants to buy a $10 million apartment complex and doesn't have the money, they can form a syndication and then raise money from people like you and me. We can invest as a limited partner and invest some of our money with them. And then we're actually part owners of the apartment complex. So we are entitled to a share of the profits, a share of the cash flow, a share of the profit if they sell. And we have all of the benefits of owning rental property directly. So we still get the depreciation and the tax benefits and all of the same tax forms. It's one of the most passive ways to invest in real estate. I couldn't do it when I started out because for a lot of them, you have to be an accredited investor. And for a lot of them, you have to have a minimum of 50 or 75 or 100K. And when I started investing in rental property, I did not have that kind of money. So this was something for me that I could only kind of do now later on in my real estate investing journey. And Dana, some syndications do qualify with a 1031 exchange through something called a Delaware Statutory Trust. So look up DST. Sounds like I need to do some more content about syndications. What else? What other last questions do you all have? I don't talk about syndications in the course unless somebody asks me during office hours, which you're welcome to do. But it's not in the main curriculum.
For 10,000 a month in profit, that when you retired, it was more like after all the expenses you had to pay, etc. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's the income. Okay.
Yeah. So we had 38 doors. And if you do the math, that was $260 in cash flow per month per door, which is really, really good. I'll obviously in the boot camp get way more into the numbers and my story and all the things, but yeah, that was the numbers at the time. What else? We have time for maybe one or two more. So I plan on writing any more books. Yes. I'm kind of thinking about whether I should write one this year. So I do want to write more books. I love writing books and I appear to be decent at it. My books are kind of what put me on the map. So I think I'll continue. Everyone asks me if I'll write another book about real estate investing. So it seems like that's what I should do. Thank you. All right, what other questions? Who's gonna join the boot camp and work with me for the next 12 weeks so I can help you find your first rental property? I hope I'll see some of you in there. I know it's a big decision. I hope this helped give you some clarity though. Any final questions? Going once? Going twice? All right, I think that's a wrap. I think we covered everything. I hope I answered everyone's questions and I hope that was helpful. All right, thank you all again. Thank you for your time and for your interest in this course. This is something that's been very successful in the past. Last June was the beta round and I was able to get a lot of feedback of how to improve the course. And I think it's going to get even better. So even though I got a ton of positive feedback from the last round, this is going to be an even stronger version of the course. So I'm really excited to start off January working with people who want to invest in real estate this year and help you meet your goals. So thank you again. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the Sunday and a wonderful day. And I hope I see some of you in the course. And if you sign up, thank you for placing your trust in me. I don't take it lightly. So thank you all. Have a wonderful day and I will talk to you later. Bye.